You know, he would say, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's not early you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying now in the local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
Golden Glory, celebrating our senior games, Tuesday at 8:03 p.m. on air and online.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308, and don't miss a single six, wicket, or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 90.
Get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning to you. It's the 29th day of May, 2024. Welcome to Morning Barbados. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be here with you until just around, let's check, 8 o'clock. I hope you're having a good day so far. Most people are still maybe in bed or just getting up and, getting into your day, whatever you're doing. Good to have you in company today. It is a big day for more reasons than one. We are going to be heading out of studio, and I always love that. Not here on Morning Barbados, but CBC TV 8. That's right. Later this evening, we're going to be bringing you live coverage of a town hall meeting happening at the Mecca, Kensington Oval. So you want to stay tuned for that coming up a bit later on CBC TV 8. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley will be chairing that town hall meeting. And they're open to tours from 1:30 this afternoon. You get to go and see firsthand all of the upgrades that have been going on at Kensington Oval. So make sure you make a date of it. There's park and ride available. Just go through and see what's been happening. You'll be pleasantly surprised. I guarantee. I had an earlier tour with some other members of the media, and it is very nice what they've been able to do to enhance the facilities. Well, coming up today on Morning Barbados, we're going to be sharing lots of information as we often do. IICA's Youth Farm program, for example, Alistair Green will be in, the IICA representative in Barbados. We're going to talk more about that as we continue to see how youth become more and more interested in agriculture and expose you to all of the ways that you can get assistance, not only from national, but regional and international organizations for those young people who are interested. Also, now a friend to the mix, Georgie will be with us. We're going to share his new release for Crop Over 2024 and we know he's always on top of things. He loves crop over, he loves music, and he loves Morning Barbados. So we look forward to having him on. We're also going to be sharing with you about Heritage Month, and Dr. Sharon Johnson, Senior Cultural Policy and Research Officer with the Division of Culture in the Prime Minister's Office, is going to be here, along with Senator John King, who's Special Advisor on Culture and Heritage in that division as well. They're going to be here to talk to us all about what will be happening during the season of emancipation. I don't know if you've been paying close attention in the Haggett Hall area, but there's an emancipation village now set up in that area. So there will be all types of things happening, from food and drinks to entertainment, and this is going to go on for the entire season of emancipation. Clarissa Carmen Williams, spoken word artist, is going to join us today. She's going to be a part of Poetry, a celebration that comes off on Thursday, May 30th. And she'll be in to tell us a little bit about how she will be participating with that. We're also going to have Timon Howard, another spoken word artist, who will be sharing with us this morning on Morning Barbados. So I told you it was going to be a packed day of things to tell you about. Plus, I think Marsville also has a new release, so we want to see if we can squeeze in a little bit of that as well. But as the old people would say, we have to play that by ear to see if we can get that in. But we want us to start today talking with HR professionals all about neurodiversity and how it can be the key to workplace innovation. So usually we have this Let's Talk segment with the Human Resources Management Association of Barbados. So joining us again is Julie Turney, Julie Turney, who's founder and CEO of HR at Heart Consulting, Inc. Good morning, Julie. Good to have you back with us.
Good morning, Tisha. It's good to be back here again. Good morning, Barbados.
All right, so this one is a pretty interesting and quite provocative, dare I say, topic.
Yes.
Neurodiversity Unleashed, the surprising key to workplace innovation. First of all, neurodiversity. Why that term?
So this is a term that is used medically to explain people who are neurodivergent. When you think of neurodivergence, you think of persons who have autism or on the autism spectrum. You also think of persons who have dyslexia, but it also includes persons who may have ADHD, ADD, and also persons who struggle with anxiety.
All right, so talk to me about how that is impacted by, or vice versa, being in a workspace.
So the requirements for persons who are neurodivergent is quite different to a person who is neurotypical. So for example, I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 5. And a lot of times in my day, not aging myself, but in my day, it was more known as being hyperactive. Yeah, you can't keep quiet. You're always moving around. These days, ADHD for me, that hyperactivity happens a lot in my brain. So it means that there's a lot of stimulation for me, lots of bright things, lots of noise. These things can impact my ability to be hyper-focused. However, when I'm hyper-focused, or when people with ADHD are hyper-focused, you get so much out of us. So it really is a ability that can enhance the workplace. It can increase productivity. We're more creative, more innovative, and organizations definitely benefit from that, from a profit perspective, an engagement perspective, and a performance perspective.
Now, you were diagnosed, but for those who have gone undiagnosed, even into adulthood,
Yes.
what are we looking for specifically to be able to identify that we're dealing with people who might be neurodivergent?
Yes, that's a really good question. So what we're looking for, you may have managers, so HR professionals, you may have managers who complain about employees who are not focused. They're always walking around the office. They don't complete deadlines for whatever reason. These are moments where you actually get to dig a little deeper and ask managers really important questions about how that person is actually performing. When is the peak time that you get the most out of that employee, and when are the times that you're not getting that what you need out of that employee. And these are really important questions that we don't always ask. And it's also something that impacts our interview process. So a lot of times people who have a neurodivergence are not always successful in completing the interview process because they process information differently, they react differently to various questions. So it also means that we need to look at how we ask questions in the interview process.
And what do we do to kind of help our employees who we find to be having these challenges, let's call it that for now,
Yes.
focus a little bit more so that they can lend to the workplace in a way that every employer wants?
So again, another good question. One of the recommendations that I always make to organizations is the importance of psychometrics. And what a psychometrics assessment will do is it's a way of employees telling you about themselves without actually declaring their neurodivergence. It's a way for you to understand how that person's brain functions. And what a psychometric assessment will do is it will give you information about how that person performs, when they perform best, under which circumstances, and under which circumstances you won't get the most out of them. Education is key, so working with doctors or organizations that specifically support persons with neurodiversities is a good way to get employees and employers engaged in understanding how to create a safe space for those employees who may have a neurodiversity.
And what can organizations do to kind of improve that recruitment process that you talked about, to be able to kind of pardon the phrase, weed them out early, so that you can then create an enabling environment?
Great question. So again, for that process to be successful, you're going to have to try to look at cases where organizations actually have implemented those processes. So research is everything. Getting on board with understanding what that process may entail. There are lots of organizations out there like Ernst & Young, Deloitte, JP Morgan, Microsoft, who are doing really great things in the HR space to really reassess how they find neurodiverse talent and how they create a process that helps them to hire neurodiverse talent effectively. So a great place to look is LinkedIn, because you'll see lots of organizations sharing how they're actually managing that process, and you can create one-on-one relationships with those people to get that information.
But where we started is with unleashing innovation.
Yes.
So how do we get to that innovation in people who may be neurodivergent?
A really good thing for organizations to do is encourage managers to ask two important questions of employees. At your best, what does that look like? What can I get from you at your best? And at your worst, what does that look like? What can I expect when it comes to performance when you're at your worst? Because at the end of the day, employees are not just people who come to work and do work. They're human beings with lives outside of work. And so you need to understand the entire human being. It's not an invasive question. It's just a question to understand that as you're working, what can I expect of you at your best? And as you're working, what can I expect of you at your worst? I think those are two really important questions that managers need to start asking their employees, but also employees can ask their teammates, because as you work in teams, you want to know what can you expect of your teammate when it comes to producing projects and getting things done.
And that's a great segue into other employees who will be working alongside some of these people.
Yes.
How can you, get the best of them as team members?
Understanding what people like to do and what they don't like to do. So in the performance process, understanding that as you produce KPIs and you look at the performance management process, that you understand what it is that your team members like to do and giving them that work. So how can I help my employees to thrive? Making sure that as we create that performance plan, I understand that the work that I'm asking you to do is work that you're capable of doing and work that you like to do. I think a lot of times we don't ask that question. We're just giving people goals but we need to have it as a conversation. So I think the performance management process, it plays a very important key in getting our employees to perform at their best.
I think a lot of people view work in that way, almost like punishment. So when you talk about giving people things they like to do, I don't believe there are that many people who will say, yeah. Just look at the type of lingo around even Monday mornings as you go back to work. It's
The
like,
Monday scaries.
Monday blues. You know, thank God it's Friday because
Yes.
it's the weekend. So it never is a welcoming place for a lot of people, or something that people want to do. So how do managers navigate that? People who aren't necessarily gung-ho about work, who
Yes.
might be, you know, in that same or on that same spectrum, but you still want to get the best of them. So how
Yes.
do you navigate that? Because we're talking about in a utopia where
Yes.
on both ends people want to see
Yes.
progress, but where you're dealing with someone who might be difficult to the extent where they might even be sabotage or something, how do managers navigate that? And vice versa.
Yes.
Because it goes both ways.
Psychological safety is key. Creating psychological safety is not just saying we have a psychologically safe organization where people can share their concerns and where people can talk about the things they like to do, they can share ideas. Psychological safety is about actually walking the talk. And so when we think of our organization and our employees, it really is important for us to be intentional about maximizing performance. One of the ways that we can do that is by being a bit more understanding and recognizing there are things we have to unlearn and relearn. The way we think about the workplace today, depending on the generation that we sit in, and we know that this is the most multi-generational workforce that we've ever been in before, we need to think about what each person needs in order to develop and grow and thrive in an organization, which means there needs to be more conversation. Communication is everything. And so it's not just a utopia, as you say. There are lots of wonderful organizations out there who are really intentional about making sure that their employees do thrive. In order for that to happen, it means there have to be lots of conversations. So as you talk about town halls or focus groups, we need to make sure as HR professionals that we are tapping into our talent and finding out what drives them when it comes to the work they do and how they thrive and grow in an organization, and understanding how careers are mapped so people have focus and understand, in order for me to become a manager, this is what I need to do. To become a director or a VP, this is what I need to do. And transparency is everything. Neurodiverse people love transparency. We need to understand how the organization is working, where we fit in, and that the goals and values that you have on the wall actually mean something.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely on the spectrum. I keep saying it. I've kind of thought this. I say it smiling, but, I hear so much of me in what you're talking about.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I find that, for people like me, my way is often frowned upon.
Yes.
Because people often love sweet lies as opposed to bitter truth. So always find yourself on the fringes.
Yes.
And,
always.
there's lots more to talk about. And I know there are others like me too. So you get to a place sometimes where you feel like I am not being my authentic self at all. And it can be worrisome.
Yes.
So it's important to truly be able to assess yourself at whatever age so that you can be or come into your authentic self.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate this conversation. Neurodiversity Unleashed, the surprising key to workplace innovation.
Yes.
And you're right, there's always so much going on inside my head. I think people can tell too.
Yes.
Yeah?
We don't have quiet spaces up there. We could live a whole life just with the voices in our head, but always directing us and guiding us in different ways to be creative and innovative, just not accepted by everyone because neurotypical people don't think the way that we do. And so we really need to help people to understand and embrace the beauty in the difference that we bring to the organization, and that it really is a competitive advantage versus a disadvantage.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much, Julie Turney, always insightful and always leaving us with lots to think about.
I'm glad I could do that.
I wish you all the best today. And there's lots for us to delve into and to continue to discover Neurodiversity Unleashed, the surprising key to workplace innovation. Something to think about and a conversation to have at your next brown paper bag session in the office when you're having lunch together, or maybe if you bring someone into the office for, something for you guys to talk about during the luncheon period. All right, it's time for a break, but we'll be back talking hurricane awareness and preparedness after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 The One Soccer Stop Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country?
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 6/22, June 1st. That is the date you need to have cemented in your head. But of course, you can't wait until then to get started, because even now we've started hearing all about systems forming just off the African coast. So we have to be ready for hurricane season 2024. Simon Allen is program officer with the Department of Emergency Management. Caroline Headley also joins us. She's senior admin officer with Sagicor General Insurance, Inc. Good morning. Welcome. Good to have both of you with us.
Good morning, Tisha.
Good morning.
And I wish sometimes we could share all of the wonderful and interesting conversations we have behind the scenes before we get started. But that's a positive in being here in studio. And I tell people that all of the time. So, Simon, I'm going to start with you in talking about what prep should look like for the average Barbadian when it comes to thinking toward the hurricane season, particularly at a time like this, where we have air traffic controllers and people who are in aviation saying expect more turbulence as you travel on planes, not because of the planes, but because of climate change.
Correct. I think it's no secret now, and all the skeptics now are beginning to realize that climate change is a real thing. It is happening. And more importantly for us in the Caribbean and in Barbados, we know that hurricane season officially starts from June 1st and goes to November 30th. So at least 6 months out of the year, there is the expectation that there will be bad weather, that there will be tropical storms and so on. And the reality for most Bajans is that, God is a Bajan, and I think sometimes we overdo it when it comes to hurricane preparedness. But I want to just reemphasize to the public that this is serious business. All it takes is one serious tropical storm to set back Barbados, to destroy our economy, to destroy housing and so on. So it's very important that people recognize their personal responsibility. The government of Barbados is taking disaster preparedness as a whole very seriously, and the mandate of Department of Emergency Management has expanded, not just including hurricanes. You know that I would have been in studio here a while ago talking about tsunamis and coastal hazards and earthquakes. So it is important that we really take hazard preparation seriously. And in this case, during the months of June to November, we focus primarily on hurricane season. But there is no telling what could happen that during June to November, God forbid we get an earthquake or anything. But for the purposes of today, I want to say that on June 1st, we're going to have our Hurricane Awareness Open Day, and we are partnering with the strong and vibrant Sagicor General.
Absolutely, that's good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And what a day to have it. You know, you start it with a bang.
Yep.
And of course, to have Sagicor General Insurance as a part of an initiative like this signals again why it's important to plan ahead.
Yes. We want to make sure that you know what to do before any disaster happens. We want to make sure that you know how to have yourself prepared. We want to be there to help you to know how to protect yourself, your family, your home. Most importantly, those things that are valuable to you. We want to make sure that you are ready.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, we're kind of like reactive people.
Very much so.
So all of a sudden, every gas station is clogged up.
Yep.
Everybody's in, pardon me, Carter's.
Supermarkets, all the supermarkets are burst.
Hardware. You know, we're kind of shopping up. We're just looking for batteries. People are just thinking, oh, geez, I probably should have gotten a water tank. What's going to happen if the electricity goes off? But these are conversations that we really should have well in advance of the season.
Right, so we're coming to the ending of the month of May, and we want to encourage every Bajan, first of all, do a household check.
Yes.
Walk around your properties outside, whether it's a rented property or it's your property. Walk around and see how the trees are, how the shrubbery is in your place. Make sure that there's nothing blocking drains. If there's an old tree outside that's been leaning, make sure that you make some preparation to get the tree at least trimmed. Of course, those trees that have branches or limbs close to power lines, we advise people to call the Barbados Light and Power to assist them in getting the tree trimmed. But there's simple little things that you can do to mitigate the impact of any hazard. Remember that the tropical storms have a lot of wind and rain. And I usually tell people, you know, I prefer more rain than wind because wind has the ability to destroy everything, uproot trees, blow off the roof of homes, and so on. But come June 1st, we are going to be in the Queen's Park. We're going to be in Queen's Park in Bridgetown. We're having the Hurricane Awareness Open Day. So as the name suggests, and we're in Queen's Park, we're going to advise persons just to pass through Queen's Park, look at our displays. There are a number of exhibitors there. You will have a lot of updates on weather information. The Barbados Met Services will be there. Of course, Sagicor, the powerful Sagicor team will be there, as well as DEM, sharing literature and information. There'll be some interactive games and some prizes. There will be a kids zone or children's play area in Queen's Park. But the main thing is to get the information out to people that this hurricane season, based on all the expert reports, is that it's going to be a lot more active than usual. It may not mean that Barbados might be hit directly by a hurricane, but we do know that most of the time we get the tail part of a hurricane or tail part of a storm, lots of wind, lots of rain that can cause damage.
Let's be honest, Simon. We can't handle a direct hit.
No, we cannot.
You know, if we're honest. If we look back to even Tomas and what happened then, and that's well within our recent memory.
Yes.
I'm glad that you talked about the mitigating impact, the mitigating factors that we can embark on to kind of curb what's happening with tropical hazards. And that's where having partners like Sagicor will come in, because you're not only here in Barbados, but you're in other parts of the region. So where we don't anticipate things that could happen as tropical hazards, as small island developing states, even as the SIDS conference is happening in neighboring Antigua, SIDS 4, we have then partners like Sagicor who can come in and share on all of those hazards and make sure that we truly are prepared. I mean, just look at a few years ago. Who would have ever, as the Americans would say, who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it?
That we would be here and ash fall. would wreak so much havoc.
Tropical storm, ashfall.
On what we do.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
COVID,
so-
everything was going on at the same time. And that shows us in the Caribbean that we are in a multi-hazard environment. While we prepare for hurricanes. And the good thing about hurricane preparation is that it can be spread across the other hazards. Because obviously after a major impact from an earthquake, you still need to have your water, you still need to have your canned items and so on. But more importantly, we want persons to take stock, literally take stock of their houses, to know and to ensure that the houses are insured, to make sure that they have the right things in place. I mean, a lot of people just buy the canned goods, but what about plastic sheeting? What about a hammer and some nails? Those are the kind of things that you need. Do you know where's your nearest hurricane shelter? What is the evacuation route from your home? If you live in a neighborhood that usually floods out, let's just say that you might be in lowlands or other places, depending on where you are. What is the alternate route to get home or to get out of where you are to get to a nearby shelter?
Yeah, do you even have a plan for waterproofing the important documents in your house?
Yes.
And all of these are things that I'm sure you're going to share.
Definitely.
Once you're there, there will be a presentation from a representative of Sagicor as well.
Yes, definitely. We want to make sure, check your policy, make sure you have that easy that you can grab. Check to make sure you've paid up your insurance. Check around your house. We will advise you. We have a risk management team at Sagicor, and we advise you things that you can do to protect yourself, because there's some things that you just might overlook, and there are things that can you might not even think that they can cause a problem, but they will, and we will advise you. This is what you can do to mitigate your losses and to help you to be well prepared. Some people may live in a home that is not theirs. Is your contents covered? Because you may lose your home, but your contents can get damaged too. So those are things we want you to have top of mind, to be prepared, to be ready even before a disaster comes.
Listen, Sagicor has to come back to us and do some business, man. We have to get people in the frame of mind that they're thinking about these things all the time, because things happen. You mentioned getting the trees around cut, and a lot of the times we're going around and seeing so many derelict buildings and overrun lots, and then of course that presents other challenges. So you really have to be prepared for any eventuality. Now I understand you're also going to have a United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction representative present. And that means a great deal.
Right, because the United Nations, of course, recognizes the impact of disasters, natural disasters and man-made disasters across the world. And they're partnering with us as well as we get the message of preparedness out there. But the beautiful thing, Tisha, is that for the month of June, we have a number of activities, but we're launching, of course, June 1st with our Hurricane Awareness Open Day with our partner Sagicor. But along with the month of June, we're going to launch a poster competition for the children to get involved. Our theme this year is Early Warning, Early Action Saves Lives. And that is a running theme throughout the world right now, the importance of having early warning so that persons can be prepared, because preparation can only happen if persons get the public information early. And that speaks especially to hurricanes and even to after the impact of an earthquake and so on. People need to know what to do and where they can get resources and help from. Another thing too is that we're going to have our church service, our National Hurricane Church Service, June 9th at 8:45 a.m. at the St. Stephen's Church in Black Rock. So we want to also pray that God will bless us and be merciful during this hurricane season. We don't want a hurricane season that is too bad, because we recognize that faith is also very important. And as usual on our social media, the DEM social media on Facebook and IG, we have something called Trivia Tuesdays. So every Tuesday, we will have a question that we pose to the audience, our online audience, and those persons who are lucky in answering the question correctly get some prizes from some of our sponsors. So there's a lot going on in the month of June for hurricane awareness.
Absolutely. And you're going to have exhibitors, if we double back to June 1st as well. at Queen's Park. I love that it's centrally located.
Of course.
And of course, most people are going about their business on Saturdays. It's a great time to drop through, not only for you, but for the little ones as
children,
well.
for sure.
And get them in that frame of mind from early. So exhibitors from, as you mentioned, the Met Services, the Fire Department, the Defense Force, Environmental Health, BWA, and Barbados Light and Power as well.
Correct, because the utility companies are so important, because one thing I must commend is that the Barbados Light and Power is so responsive, because we know that after the impact of any storm, one of the things that you lose would be power. But within a matter of hours, they work, around the clock to make sure that we are all back in business and have electricity. So it's going to be a very interactive day. We're encouraging persons to pass through this Saturday, June 1st, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We will be in Queen's Park. So not only will you see a lot of information on disaster preparedness, but Sagicor 2 and your team would have a really nice display as well.
That's right, Carolyn. It's not difficult to see why Sagicor partnered with the DEM on this particular initiative.
Yes, because we recognize that we want people to be aware. We want you to be prepared. That word means be ready. Be ready before anything happens. And Sagicor is there to help you, to assist you in things that you might not even think of, and to assist you with what coverage will be there for you, to help you, to make sure you are ready.
Absolutely. And there's so much discussion to be had. Give us those social media handles once again, Simon, so that people can navigate to that space.
Yes.
I know you share a lot.
Yep. So on Instagram is dem.barbados, as well as on Facebook, dem Barbados as well. You type in Department of Emergency Management, it's going to come up. You're going to see all the information. You're going to see the calendar of events and so on for June. And we just want to encourage people to be ready. Remember, early warning, early action saves lives.
And, the things that you probably will experience, there are things that we don't even anticipate, particularly as we get even more involved with technology.
That's right.
We're becoming far more disconnected from being able to connect with each other on a one-on-one basis. So if the electricity is out, hello, you can't go on your phone.
That's right.
You can't answer your house phone either.
Do some crossword puzzles or something.
You won't get the internet.
Yeah, play some cards.
We depend on these systems in so many ways. So I certainly look forward to this extravaganza. It is coming up this Saturday, June 1st. Make sure that you head on out from 10 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's at Queen's Park. So the Department of Emergency Management, in association with Sagicor General Insurance, they're going to come back and share with us. So somebody needs to call Caroline.
Yes.
Sweet Caroline.
And, so that we can really help people to get into that space. Thank you both for waking up early and coming and spending a little time with me.
Thank you. It was great seeing your pretty face again.
Thank you. Even though it's drizzling outside.
Drizzling some parts is sure. Lots of showers.
In Barbados, when it's drizzling, it's like, I ain't coming out today. It's raining. We don't like to get
We'll change that now. We got. With my line of work too, we have to be out there regardless, and it's going to be a very busy year. Already we have preparations for Cricket World Cup. You mentioned it, the ICC tournament. So DEM has a big role in that as well, in terms of mass crowd planning and disaster management. So it's more than just hurricanes and natural disasters. We are there.
He wanted to make sure that not just Caroline got the invitation back. So officially you have the invitation to come back
too. Thank you.
All right, time for a break. When we come back, friend to the show, well, friend to me, friend to everybody, Georgie. Georgie, sound your voice now? Georgie's in the house. Georgie has a new song.
Good morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Soca Avenue. All new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
You know, he was saying, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's not area you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying now in the local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
Golden Glory, celebrating our senior games, Tuesday at 8:03 p.m. on air and online.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308 and don't miss a single six, wicket or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Always good to have you with us on Morning Barbados. So today we are continuing our discussion. We told you earlier that we were going to start by talking about IICA's Youth Farm program, and to tell us more about that, we want to welcome to Morning Barbados Mr. Alistair Glean, who is IICA's representative here in Barbados. Good morning to you and welcome. Good to have you with us on today's program, albeit remotely.
Good morning, Tisha. Thank you for having me. Very good I can come into the studio this morning.
All right, for those people who are just tuning in, tell us a little bit about IICA and the work that you do not only here in Barbados but down the region.
Well, IICA stands for the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture. We love to say that we are the specialized agency for agriculture in the Americas. We have offices throughout the Americas, from Canada down to Chile, and of course, in lovely Barbados. And we work specifically with various cooperation partners, such as the Ministries of Agriculture, the FAO, the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute. And we focus primarily on cultural development. Areas of focus include issues related to climate change, agricultural health and food safety, international trade and integration, and of course we look at innovation and technology. And there's a key focus for us on involving women and youth in a number of our activities.
And here you have a program that kind of encapsulates all that you talked about, what IICA is all about there in this Youth Farm program, which really is an initiative targeting senior students who have an interest in pursuing a career in agriculture. And it's coming up, it's open to secondary schools. Tell us more about that.
Thank you. That's correct. Since 2012, we've started this program. It essentially equips young persons with national and Caribbean vocational qualifications to practice in agriculture. And this year, we start our 2024 program. It's going to commence in the first week of July and end the last week of August. In fact, today is special because we're beginning our screening process. And we targeted secondary schools in Barbados. And of course, there are some persons who are tertiary level who also matriculate to the program. I should also say that this specific program allows young persons to be equipped with certain skills that can allow them to perform in the industry and contribute to food security generally.
How does this tie into the 25 by 25 initiative that's currently on?
I'm glad you asked that, and that's so pertinent. It is quite relevant because, first of all, we serve as almost a feeder system into other types of study, tertiary level studies, whether at the University of West Indies, Samuel Jackson Prescott Institute, Polytechnic Institute, or the Barbados Community College. But more than that, what we're trying to do is to allow the industry to receive young persons who can contribute to food security. We know that the youth are where the strength lies and where the future exists. So we want to introduce young entrepreneurs who can contribute to food security. More than that, with these qualifications, these young persons can occupy positions in the industry and also move throughout the region and participate in agricultural pursuits. But definitely, these young persons have skills not only to become entrepreneurs, but as I said, to work for persons and even to contribute to household food security. And we believe that's very important. The persons have the skills and the tools to contribute to production. Of course, that's going to lead to us attaining 25 by 25 in a much more realistic manner.
The truth of the matter is it really is about food security, and we really got a glimpse of how challenging it can be when it comes to imports, when there are things going on in other parts of the world and there's a breakdown with the global supply chain. Just off of that UNCTAD Supply Chain Management Conference here in Barbados, it reinforces the importance even more of programs like these, because even at that conference, things like food security really took center stage. The importance of being able to offer the opportunity to farm to just regular people as well. So let's talk about the shape that this youth farm program will take in terms of how students can get involved and how the information will be shared.
Oh, great. Now, I should say that these occupational standards are developed by experts in the industry that equip the young persons with key skills that allow them to perform in the industry. With vocational standards, it's not about what you know, as we traditionally recognize with academic pursuits, but it's what you know and can do. So this Youth Farm program is an 8-week course of study that entails theory and practical, and it's modular in nature. So as persons go through every week, they are assessed on what they learn. And as I said, there are various units or modules depending on the particular program. In our case, we focus on crop production, aquaculture production, livestock rearing, and poultry production. So this year we have 4 particular programs we're focusing on, and we are aiming at training an estimated 40 students. So far, we've trained over 300 persons here in Barbados, and is expected to grow. Now, we have a lot of key partners who are on board, such as Gales Agro-Products, Williams Industries, and this is primarily driven by the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security.
Now, the aim of this entire program, obviously, of this entire interaction is to kind of bring some awareness to it. So how do students get involved? Do they have to go through their various educational institutions? Can they reach out directly to IICA to be a part of it? How does it work?
Two routes. Now, ideally, you should go through your secondary school. There are some schools that have traditionally been involved, like the Grantley Adams Memorial School, St. Leonard's Boys, Brighton Griffith, St. George Secondary, etc. But we would also want to invite and encourage persons from the non-traditional schools, the Harrison's College, Queen's College. We've had persons come from those schools, but because they don't really have an agricultural program at those types of schools, we want to encourage those kind of persons to come on board. So they can either go through their school, but since our screening starts today, we want to encourage persons to reach out directly to the office. So they can call us at 271-9210-2, and they can give their information, and we'll be happy to screen them and allow them to participate in the program. It's very well subscribed, it's oversubscribed indeed, and that's why we have a rigorous screening process.
What are the prerequisites for students who might be interested in getting into the program?
Primarily, we look at persons who are pursuing agricultural science in schools. However, as I said, if you have a keen interest in agriculture, you recognize this as something you can pursue either as a hobby or as an income earning opportunity, we welcome you to come in. Ideally, for the livestock rearing program and the poultry production program, we want to have persons who are already involved in some sort of activity at home, whether they have an animal, a bird, or so that they can easily follow the program.
Let's talk a bit about the program, break it down in terms of the elements and how it will be shared over the period.
Okay, well, I'm not the expert in that area, but I can tell you, as I said, it's modular. So every week they go through various modules that relate to either theory or practical. Now, somewhere on the 4th to the 5th week, we begin focusing on an entrepreneurial component. That's our agribusiness week. And that's where we bring in experts and we expose persons to the business side of things. It's not just about teaching them or having them go out to farms, but we also want to have them have an entrepreneurial mindset so that they can transition from the theory, as I said, to the practical and get into their own business. Prior to COVID, we also had a placement activity where we would put persons on farms and do internships. But since COVID, that has been stymied a bit. But we also have an element where, as I said, there's strong practical focus. So they go into the various facilities, such as the Greenland Livestock Station or the Animal Nutrition Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture. They engage in work with aquaculture units at the Dighton Griffith School. And of course, in terms of crop production, they are the home agriculture station in St. Philip's. So they are actively involved in production at all levels. So there's a classroom component for a number of weeks, and they do a heavy focus on the practical element, working with animals and working in the field in terms of crop production.
Wonderful. I look forward to hearing more about this. Alistair Green is IICA's representative here in Barbados. Always great to have you with us.
Thank you, Tisha. We welcome persons to call us. Come on board with Youth Farm.
All right. So it is the Youth Farm program, and it will be held July to August 2024. Make sure you get in there. So if you have young people who are interested in farming, this is a great way to get them involved. 2 ways to go about getting involved. Of course, it can happen through their schools, or you can reach out to IICA at 271-9210 down to 112. Very, very interesting. Something to do for the children for summer. And he said it's usually very heavily subscribed, so make sure you get in there. It's time for another break on Morning Barbados, but stay with us. We have lots coming up.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 The One Soccer Stop Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Soca Avenue, all new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic...
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Be a woman. Give me a woman.
I want a woman as my leader to take us and ready to carry me to the 21st century. She must be strong from the ground.
That's Georgie. I am listening to this song, and Georgie always puts a smile on my face. Georgie, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, teacher.
Oh, my goodness. So you're back for Crop Over 2024 with this one. Well, it's a little provocative because it's called I Want a Woman, but then you add on a little piece at the end. I want a woman to be my leader.
Yeah. Yeah, the theme of it, the title of the song, gives the impression that you want to be salacious, you want to get a woman to hang out with, a relationship or so. But it is not that when you listen to the song, the meat of the song. They want a woman who is progressive, futuristic, a woman who can lead well, a woman with vision, that's what we're looking at. And we have a lot of those in Barbados. None bigger than our Prime Minister, Mia Amor-Mortley. And actually the song came out of an interview, a lecture actually, that she gave at the UWE. Cricket is more than bat and ball. I saw her talk on that theme, and she was very impressive. And I had a lot of other West Indian cricketers there, and she talked on that. And I called a radio program subsequently, telling the operator, the moderator on this radio program, that I was impressed with the views that the Prime Minister had given, and it is about time we get a leader for CWI, Cricket West Indies. Rather than having all these men as presidents, it's time to have a woman's views. And I was dragged through the coals by this moderator, right? So I came and I put a song down, started writing my poetry, as usual. I put it into this song. Second thing that brought the idea to me, the song, is that Rihanna, numero uno, the biggest woman entertainer in the world, a billionaire, sang for 13 minutes at the NFL, last year. Millions of people watching her. And I had that thought, called the moderator again in connection with Rihanna's impressive show, because she impressed a lot of people. And again, I was told, I can't do that here. I can't do that. No, 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 no. So all those things give me the boot to bring this song, I Want a Woman, because women are impressive, and you know the things that women are doing in Barbados. Look, and we see having the Prime Minister is there, Deputy Prime Minister is a woman. President.
Yes.
The DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the head of the Pharmaceutical Association, is a woman. Drug Service is a lady. Look at all the principals of schools, the ladies running. Look at a lot of the banks in Barbados. So that's where the song is going.
Yeah. I think what people need to acknowledge is that because you highlight someone or the good things they do, it doesn't mean that you're taking away from someone else. So, you know, the two things can be true. So there can be women who do good work, and there can be men that do good work. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You know, there's no mutual exclusivity. You know, the two things can coexist. They can
side by
be
side.
true. In terms of your music and your poems, I know you said that you started to write your poetry. How do you start the process of maybe converting your poetry? Because I know you write a lot. I dare say I think you write every single day. So how do you convert your poetry into music, or how do you determine, okay, this one will make a great song?
Well, you know, poetry, songs start with poetry, you know, and then you not have to find a hook when you put it into a song, a hook in the chorus line that would make it into something progressive that people want to move to, get a rhythm to. So I can convert that fairly easily. So having written that song, I Want a Woman, in poetry first, I took it to my arranger, Ricky Braffett, and he told me we got a nice tip with a chorus, nice little chorus, and I put the chorus to it. That sounds pretty good. She must be strong from the ground, punching pound for pound, on call, on the ball. You know, she must be willing and fit to carry Barbados through to the 21st century.
Georgie, you're always doing all of these, you know, very inspirational songs, nation-building songs. What do you think keeps you in this very positive frame of mind in terms of the music you make and just how you operate every single day?
It's a lifestyle of mine, which I had from many, many years ago, growing up, you know, and living that sort of way, doing lectures, talking on finance, personal finance management, talking to people, guiding people with their money, and, you know, teaching children as well, going into schools and talking to children. And they see my lifestyle, and some of them want to emulate me because of the things I would say to them. I'm like a dad to them in some cases. I'm like a teacher also. So I try to purport that wherever I go and whatever I do to enhance people's lives, make people look forward, give them some hope, make them believe that there's a good future out there for them. So I put it in my poetry, I put it in my songs, all my songs and a lot of poems I write nowadays purport that, give people this impression that there's better further on as they live their lives, you know. And it is what I'm hoping to get in the minds of people. And it is working to some extent, you know, Tisha, because the reports I get from people who tell me what the poems mean to them or what the songs mean to them, you know, it makes me feel good within to continue and to make that drive and to be impressive to people. Because if you can convert one or two persons, right, you're on winner's roll, and that's the important thing.
That's good stuff, Georgie. Any plans for crop over? I know you used to be involved with tents and everything back in the day, but you continue to make good music. So I don't know, maybe are we going to see you in a tent?
But I haven't done tents for a long time. You know, I used to be involved in this thing from the start of crop over. And it's 40 years, actually, crop over celebrated for 50 years, but I'm celebrating 40 years. I started in 1984.
Wow.
Right? And my first song was a song called, because I heard Plastic Bag sing this song, BIM, I went and wrote a song called Song of My Land, Barbados, back in 1984. I have it on video now. But I don't take part in the tents anymore. Sometimes these things, you grow away from these things and you allow the younger persons to come and get involved because the festival is evolving all the time. And as I get older, you know, I have less intention to go on a stage and gyrate and whine and thing, you know. But I still do my music. I still put my music on YouTube and that sort of thing for persons every year. And I'm going to do a video on this one as well, trying to get a video done soon on this one, and keep my music out there. It is not a money-making thing for me, but it's just expression of love. You understand? Maybe my children, my grandchildren will get the money from COSCAP and the agencies maybe in another 40 years or so.
What do you remember most when we reflect on Crop Over celebrating 50 years in 2024 and you celebrating 40 years? You said you started in 84.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you remember most about those early years?
Yeah, well, those were vibrant years, I must say, you know. I remember when we used to have 15 tents at one time. I remember I started in some of the very small tents. I've never been able to get into the big tents. I started in tents like Romans and Soca Explosions and those kind of tents. I remained in those tents and sort of boost the small Calypsonians, you understand? And I had my own tent also. Alien Forces was a tent I constructed in 1986. Then I handed it over to Burt Brown and Jadu and Lord Randy and those guys, and you know. And I continued to, I did my music early, started early from 1986. I started my own recordings, and every year I recorded and came out first with my music from 1986 to 1990 first, and then I continued to record up to about 1993. Held off a little bit, and then, you know, I started back the recording aspect and the video aspect just about 9 years ago, and continued to produce my music and entertain people. And hope to change lives. But I know the music is evolving all the time. The music is happening all the time, and you got to see the new persons, the new fellas coming up, myself and people like John King and all the fellas from way back. You know, we've stepped off the stage now, and the young fellas are coming up, and we got to encourage them. You know, my music, you hear my music is still in a certain kind of vein. I can't get into the bashment. I can't get into that.
We don't want you in the bashment, but we're happy that you're still out here active. I mean, you've done so much. You're doing music in a very, very patriotic way. Through the years, you have shared with Barbadians by way of your financial training. You have a little book that you've also shared there too. Mm-hmm. I only have one, Georgie. Money
talks, listen. Life is full of difficult decisions. Make them. I'm a writer.
Yeah. Make things right. I only have Money Talks Listen. And then, of course, you know, you also are out. You competed in the senior games just a few weeks ago. So congratulations to you on that for staying active in all respects. Mm-hmm. We love that. We love active seniors who continue to share. You know, I don't say, and listen, I'm retired, I'm sitting down. Not Georgie. Georgie is always on the move. And we love that. Always good to see you, Georgie. And when I'm on radio, I hear you every morning too. So.
Yeah. And there, huh?
Absolutely. All right. So look out for Georgie's new track. It's called "I Want a Woman." It's not what you think. Wow, Georgie. It's time for another break. Fancy he mentioned John King. Well, Senator King is here, and he's up next. Stay with us.
Strong to the ground, fighting pound for pound, on call, on the ball, the weak country can't stand tall, but so wit and grit, willing and fit, and must rule successfully till the year 2030.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
You know, he was saying, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's my area you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying now in the local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
Golden Glory, celebrating our senior games, Tuesday at 8:03 p.m. on air and online.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308 and don't miss a single six, wicket or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey, it's 7:11. How about that? Here on Morning Barbados. And I want to welcome two popular faces back, two popular names as well, back to Morning Barbados. Joining us, we have Dr. Sharon Johnson and Senator John King. And of course, they're with the Division of Culture, Prime Minister's Office, etc., etc. You know, some of these people you have to add on the etceteras with. So good morning. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Queen Tisha.
Yes.
I see you're not wearing your robe, but...
Listen, I have it upstairs.
You must wear it all the time.
If they give me a moment, I can go and be all
bedecked.
Oh, boy. Be regal.
Yes.
Yes. Compliments of the Queen of Liberia.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We had a great time having them here.
Yes.
And all within this very all-important time. Senator King talked to us about all that we can look forward to with the Barbados World Heritage Committee presenting the celebrations for Heritage Month.
Okay, so Heritage Month, June 1st, and the entire month is dedicated to what we call preserving and also promoting Barbadian heritage. Oftentimes, when we talk about it, we break it down into three major things: tangible, intangible, and also, I guess, natural heritage. And within the program this year, we're seeking to get Barbadians more involved in putting value on these very things that we're going to be talking about. So one of the major things that I want to speak about in terms of getting people to be more involved is the oral stories. This is going to be coming from the National Library Service. And what we're seeking to do is to have persons go into the library and share their stories. Could be about your family, could be about things that you've experienced over the years living in your village, the characters that you had in your village. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually record these things and keep them and then put them into, as we're in the digital world, into a digital format so that future generations can come back and listen to these stories and get some sense of what Barbados was like at that particular time, what did these families go through, what made us who we are, that sort of thing. And as we go through this month, it really is going to be important that we also look at some of the intangible things. For instance, Barbados has a reputation for fantastic furniture. I mean, if you go online, Sharon could attest to it, you go online and you look in places like the US and other things, there's a high price on Barbadian furniture, especially the ones that come out of plantation homes and stuff like that. So you're talking about furniture that was made 1700s, 1800s, that sort of stuff. But the skill of building or making that furniture still resides with some of the older people in Barbados. And one of the things that we want to do to preserve that is to begin to find young people who may be interested in joining in doing all of these things, and hence to stir that passion in our people. There's an antiques show that will happen in Golden Square. We did it last year. It comes back around again this year. And I also want to encourage people to bring out whatever things they have that are of value to them, so the rest of Barbados can share and see what is available. And I'm hoping that we can have someone who can come out and appraise some of these things, because the value, if you ever heard the value on some of these things, is just beyond your wildest imagination.
We're going to have to bring the Antiques Roadshow to Barbados.
Yes.
How do we forge these intergenerational conversations? I think is a major part of what will take center stage for this observance of Heritage Month, because the way how we do this, in addition to sharing in these public spaces, is to get the conversations going.
That's right.
So let's talk about all the ways that we are going to see that unfolding throughout this month.
What John mentioned, some things that were critical to us preserving heritage. It is, and I like to explain to people a bit of what heritage is. It's what has been left to us, handed down to us by former generations, by our forefathers. It makes us who we are today. It impacts on the culture of the country, and it also defines who we want to be. Now, in that spans quite a lot. But for us, we see heritage as the undergirthing of the cultural industries. If we're going to develop sound cultural goods and services, it has to be embedded within our heritage, and that is where we can bring the young people in. Our folk stories, our oral stories, are ripe for the picking to be translated into cartoons, plays, games, all of these things in the digital era that we can use. We are talking about digitization of the records at the archives, those that relate to the period of enslavement. Those stories coming out of the archives, they're so rich when you hear these stories, that they know what we're going to be encouraging our young people to be doing is to see these stories as something that they can branch off and develop into cultural goods and services. Already what we're saying, since we've been doing this public education about heritage and all the heritage stories, we have seen a growth in small and micro businesses. Persons using traditional plants to develop skincare products, hair care products. We have persons taking images of Barbados, turning that into soft furnishings. And what we want to see more is documentaries so young people can get into it, animation, all of these things that are critical for our young people, because heritage is more than, we have to get past the notion that heritage is something in the past. It's something in a book, in a dusty old book in a museum. It is something that we can use to tell our story and also to develop sustainable goods and services. So I love working with young people. So I always surround myself with a group of young people. I have a group of young volunteers, and each year we bring them in. And they are part of the process of building out what happens within Heritage Month. They will be there doing evaluations. They'll be part of the process of speaking to people. We have heritage pop-ups, a heritage roadshow, so to speak. One will be held in June in Hero Square, and on the 29th, the other would be in Speightstown. I don't want to be the face of that. That is our young people who will go out there, who will be talking to the public, telling the public about the various programs we undertake within the Division of Culture. So that is another way to get our young people involved, put them at the forefront of speaking directly to the people, and also in turn, as we educate them about why heritage is important, they in turn share that information with their peers. I remember last year we had, and a funny little story, one of our volunteers, she was in law at the time. I had an exhibition, and the first time in her life she saw a rotary phone. And there she was trying to get this phone to work. How do I, she says, Dr. Johnson, how do I get it work? What happens? So she took the circle thing and turned it right around with the entire head. And then she was it was so funny. I recorded it and I sent it to her, and from that she did a TikTok video and got calls immediately after from a number of agencies to do some promotion for her. So these are things that, you know, we might think that it is simple, but our young people, we have not done our best in sensitizing our young people about our heritage, and we need to do more. We need to have them engaging with the elders in the community. That is why the oral stories is so critical. That is important for them to be able to share and learn, because this is who we are and we need to promote it.
And there most certainly are different ways that you can share and learn. I think that sometimes people of a certain age take for granted what we know and what we've experienced without bringing the younger people along. And that, I feel, is what Heritage Month really is all about. Bringing them along.
Totally agreed. It is about bringing them along, because at some point in time, they are also going to be the elders.
That's true.
If they live long enough, they will be the elders. And they would want to be able to pass on the knowledge that they have, the experiences that they have, to their offspring and future generations. So it's like you said, Tisha, I agree with you 100%. It really is important for all of us to come. And then one of the linchpins of it is that it brings the society together. When you can have the older generations and the younger generations in the same space, sharing and being together, interacting, and thing, it makes for a better society. And at a point where we have been talking about the Barbados national identity, these things play a role in developing that.
Absolutely. So I know that we're going to be sharing throughout the month, so people know exactly what they can look forward to. But what are some of these amazing ways that we're going to be delving into and sharing Barbados heritage, tangible, intangible, and natural?
Yes, I'll just speak to a couple of them quickly. The program is packed as usual. I have about 22 events for the month.
Wow, and there are only 22 days in June. I said I'm going to do a study. This is honest. I'm going to do a study about the perception of time as you age. Because for young people, they're like, there's an entire day. And I'm like, there are not enough hours in the day. So I think as you age, the perception of how long a day is changes. It shrinks. It shrivels down. So our days, our months are now 22 days, Dr. Johnson.
You know,
go.
Our partners in this, the National Library Service, they have a whole set of activities going on, including a lecture and an exhibition about the contribution of Black business women, and that is going to be quite exciting. We have contributions from the Barbados Museum and Historical Society. They have a series of tours. For example, they'll be leaning towards educating the public about the importance and relevance of Newton Burial Ground, the enslaved burial ground, which will form part of our next nomination for the story of Sugar Rum. We'll come back to you to talk to you about that. The Coastal Zone Management Unit, they'll be hosting a free public discussion on our coastal zone, its history, heritage, and management, featuring Dr. Jeff Ward, who's a maritime historian, and Mr. Fabian Hines of the Coastal Zone Management Unit. And that will be held at the Clock Tower on June 19th. A very interesting activity that we'd like to invite Barbadians to attend, Mingle at the Mill. That is being hosted by the Barbados National Trust. The Mill, Morgan Lewis Mill, forms part of the next nomination as well for the Story of Sugar and Rum. And that is going to be a very unique experience. For those of you who've never visited the mill, I encourage you to do so. The space has been transformed. It is one of the most scenic and beautiful spots in Barbados. The mill inside has undergone some restoration, and that event is open to the public and part of our ongoing public education. I cannot forget St. Mary's Anglican Church. They've been faithful every year with hosting a number of activities, including the Heritage Church Service. They'll be giving us something called Something in the Music, our culture, our heritage. That is going to be on June 22, and they will feature such artists as Kiabi, RPB, Tumai Hill, Mikey, and Nikita. So that is part of that public education and also fundraising. Again, we talk about how you can use heritage, and I mean, the church is a beautiful example of how they can marry heritage with the cultural industries. So those are just but a few of the things that we will be doing. We will be on the road. You will see us. A lot of social media marketing will go on. That's where our young people will come into play. We push them towards that. BTMI, they're also a partner, and they will be hosting a free event, a night with the modern day griots. That's going to be on June 7th at the Courtney Blackman Tom Adams Financial Center, and they will also be screening heritage videos on their online platforms. So that's but a microcosm of some of the things.
She says, you know, that's a packed schedule.
It is.
It is.
Sure.
It is. But when we talk about the heritage of Barbados, it is so rich and so diverse. And so I want to encourage people from all walks of life to come out to all of the events that you can get to. Make it a family occasion. Yeah. Also make it an occasion to learn more about our heritage, about who we are. And also, when we have the antiques market, yes, bring the things that you were passed on, the old stove or the old gas thing that you get from your grandmother, irons and all the other things.
John.
You know.
John just took us back. Sorry, Senator King. Senator King just took us back.
Still, John, the iron.
Took us back to St. Philip, man.
Course,
the iron.
I remember, language is also a part and parcel.
Absolutely intangible heritage.
And you cannot dismiss these things because they're important to who you are. And so I want to encourage Barbadians all across the island to please come out and get involved in Heritage Month. It's a packed program, as was mentioned by Dr. Johnson, and the Division of Culture in the Prime Minister's Office welcomes all of you to be a part of it with us.
Yes. And I'm happy that you mentioned, Senator King, that we are a diverse peoples. Because I feel like a lot of the times, as we should, we focus a lot on our heritage as people with an Afro background. But there's so many Barbadians,
whiter than that,
you know, Indo, Anglo, European backgrounds and so on, and that are past, you know, what we think about when we think about only maybe slavery and
it's more than that.
Itinerant workers and so on, who've contributed in Barbados and who have helped to grow our heritage.
Thank you. Yes.
And, you know, I want to make sure that what we're doing also includes them. I want to see those faces, hear the representations of what they've done, how they have contributed as well. And I'm sure that throughout this month, we're going to have these opportunities to be able to show how truly diverse and inclusive we are.
That's right.
And that is, if I may, and that is why the oral stories is so important for all peoples to come and tell their stories. Because one of the things that I personally have been tracking for a long time is the story of what people call red legs, or the person's
rednecks,
whatever people call. And those are stories that I think need to be shared with the wider population, because again, you can become marginalized if people don't know or we don't share these stories. And when we talk about Barbados being a melting pot, a place that is really, you know, like you said, diverse and trying to show the world how all people can live together in one space, in a different way than what we see in some other places around the world.
Yeah.
I think this Heritage Month gives us the opportunity to do just that.
Yeah, adds to our richness. I want to thank you both for coming in. This certainly points us in the direction that we have to have far more conversations on this.
Yeah.
Use this platform, please.
We will.
I've been saying this to you
Yes.
for the last 2 weeks
Yes,
as well,
yes,
Dr. Johnson. You know, we are poised to be able to share as well. So I know people are very into sharing online and so on, but there is an audience.
Yes,
for
there is
this
a space for this,
here,
yeah. Yeah.
and CBC has played a major role in really curating Barbados' rich history. Over the last few days, the calls that I've gotten about footage for Kensington Oval and stuff like that, looking back at it, is so amazing. So I look forward to this partnership, and you should as well. Heritage Month is here, so make sure you get on out, share in those stories, and share your stories as well. All right? We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're talking poetry, so we have some spoken word artists who will be sharing with us. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love Crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 The One Soccer Stop Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, so poetry is coming up, POETREE, the event, and is coming up tomorrow, Thursday, May 30th. I'm still coming to grips with that date. How is it May 30th already? I don't know. But at 8 o'clock, Clarissa Carmen Williams, a spoken word artist and event producer, is going to be on stage as a part of the cast. Always good to see you, Clarissa. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your bold, outspoken nature and how you got to this place. You know, when I first met you, I don't think you were this bold, but you've kind of grown by leaps and bounds. Is it simply by being on stage?
I would say yes, and the encouragement a lot. I always feel because of my support team that I can do anything. So that helps me to be bolder every time in terms of things that I write, things that I'm open to sharing. And yeah, being on stage definitely helps.
All right, talk to me about the pieces you perform. I know that there are some pieces that you compose. Is that across the board, or do you work with others to be able to put together works?
I have only worked with one artist so far in terms of doing something. We did a collab a while back. This would have been Metallic Words when we performed together at Cilantro. That was my only real-time collaborating. Otherwise, I usually write alone, but I obviously have my mentors and the support from Adrian Green to give me his feedback and stuff when it comes to my writing as well as my presence on stage.
Where do you go when you get on stage? Where does it take you?
I try to let it take me to the place I was at when I wrote the piece. Obviously, when you write something, it's about how you feel in that moment. And then when you perform it months later, sometimes you're not at the same place. But because the message may still be important to you, you want to go back there, get the emotions in so that you could put it out on stage the right way.
What can we expect from you when we see you at Poetry coming up tomorrow with all of these notches, so to speak, now on your belt, with all of these performances behind you and ahead of you?
Yes.
How are you shaping up for tomorrow's presentation?
Well, rehearsing, practicing, trying to get in the right frame of mind is really important. And my pieces tomorrow, one of them is really about poetry itself. It was inspired by a quote from John Hopkins about a poet's greatness. So that piece is called Love First, which basically says to be a poet, you must first be in love. But it has a twist to it. So.
All right. In the previous interview, we talked to Senator John King and Dr. Sharon Johnson, of the Culture Division about sharing our heritage.
Yes.
How much does, what you experience, who you are, influence what you write and how you present?
It influences a lot, but if we're looking at culture and Barbados, I should have written more about Barbados. There are only like a few pieces, maybe like 3 or 4 that I have about Barbados or crop over, and there's more that I would like to do, but I also write from experience. So I feel like I need certain experiences to be able to write more about the country, and some of the things I have written about Barbados aren't, they come from a place of disappointment, actually, in terms of litter, in terms of issues in society. Those are things that I highlight that people don't always want to talk about. So there's an example of me being bold when I write these kind of things. But even though there's disappointment there, it comes from a place of love because I want things to be better in Barbados in terms of the way, even how people treat each other. So from those experiences and observations, I do write about Barbados, but maybe not always in a celebratory way that people would expect.
With that said, and bringing attention to issues that people might not want to talk about and so on, do you see yourself as a bit of an advocate, not only for maybe spoken word or poetry, but also for, causes that we need to take up and run with?
Yes, I definitely do. I try not to always wear a certain hat because, I write about different things and I'm not going to, sometimes when you only do one thing, people paint you in that light. So I would say I'm an advocate for certain things, but I'm so flexible and open to different topics. So I don't want them to say, like, for example, in Beige to the World, some persons grew a little weary of me talking about gun violence all the time. But gun violence look at how much it has happened compared to how many times I've spoken about it. So you are tired of hearing it, so to speak, but you're not tired of how often it is happening and the cases that we had. A lot of pieces I performed on gun violence and things in Barbados stemmed from a personal experience in 2019 where someone close to me passed away. They were shot and killed. Person didn't even know them. So as much as there are things that people don't want to talk about, if it moves me, I have to speak about it.
Yeah, and what I love about spoken word is how expressive you can be. Even in the way you talked about that particular piece, you said someone close to you passed away, as opposed to something that might be far more provocative, as in someone close to you was murdered. The wording really kind of evokes emotion, and I think that's what you're able to do through spoken word. So for those of you who continue through advocacy, I'd say that as for somebody who was intimately involved with Beige to the World, that it served its purpose.
It
So
definitely
as
did.
much as people didn't want to hear about it, they got the message.
They got the message.
And that's the important part.
Exactly.
So how are you prepping for tomorrow night?
Resting. First of all, resting. I have a beautiful view where I live, so I'm sitting in my swing chair, taking in the view, just trying to relax and calm the nerves. Because, you know, it's very exciting, but it could be nerve-wracking as well. I want to do my very best there, and look at the names that are going to be performing as well. We have Miss Support of the Year, Stoneway Cupid, one of my favorites. So I have to put my best foot forward. Everybody on the lineup is amazing. I need to definitely calm the nerves and get it going.
And how do you decide which piece or pieces you'll be performing for tomorrow?
That was actually a very tough decision. I called my friends. I was like, which of these pieces do you think? Because I had no idea. But as I said, I'm starting with Love First, which is about a poet's love. And I think that's a good place to start.
All right,
It's
good
relatively
stuff. We
new.
look forward to seeing you on stage. And I can see it means a great deal to be able to be on stage with, you know, some people who have worked with you and who've helped to shape the young woman that we're seeing in front of us, the poet, the spoken word artist, the performer.
Yes.
Yes?
Definitely.
So enjoy it tomorrow night. And we look forward to hearing all about love and whatever else you bring to the poetry stage.
Yes, that's a surprise. So you guys have to come to see the rest, for sure.
All right, so look out for Carmen Carissa Williams. She's a part of the poetry event, a celebration of spoken word, coming up tomorrow. Stay with us. We have another artist who's going to be sharing with us next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Soca.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 18 minutes to 8 o'clock. We're telling you all about poetry. The event is a celebration of spoken word artists and spoken word art is coming up tomorrow. And Timon Howard is one of the artists who will hit the big stage to be a part of that. Good to have you back with us in another capacity.
Definitely.
This time around. But you told me that you started writing very early on. Tell me about the early pieces you wrote from as early as primary school.
Right. So in terms of primary school, it would have just been, you know, little things here and there, personal expression and such.
What were you writing
But,
about in primary school? I'm intrigued.
I wouldn't say that those memories are as clear as I could crystallize like concepts and themes and such like that. But just little things that would happen and, you know, do a little rhyme scheme here and there.
So you weren't able to save any of it?
Not much. I don't really have much of my material from primary school still left. with me.
Wow. All right, so you said once you got into secondary school, you picked back up on the writing.
Right,
let's
so
start
that
there.
would have been close to the third form after a workshop where Adrian Green had actually came to the school. And it was a writer's workshop in conjunction with a program that was going on in school at the time, the Elevated Speech program at the school. And so that really reinvigorated me because he took us through some exercises, talked to us about the art form and such. And so from that, then moving forward, I would have, you know, continued writing and launched off from there.
You've participated in a lot of workshops. You've kind of been observing from the sidelines. What was that one thing that gave you the extra confidence to take what you were writing to the stage?
I don't think it is necessarily, how do I phrase this? Not that it's not a matter of confidence per se, but I would have spoken to someone about this already. If it is that you don't necessarily view something as particularly daunting on a base level, it's not like you're mustering courage to do it. So for me, getting on stage is not a problem. I'm accustomed to speaking before persons. I'm accustomed to articulating myself from young. I did the valedictorian speech at my primary school, so I have been on stage presenting before. In terms of actually presenting a creative piece now, it was no problem for me either in terms of poetry, because I would have done recitations at church and that kind of stuff as well. So presenting something that I would have written was just transferring all of those skills to something that I would have written and sharing that. The confidence would have come with, do I have the ability to perform this as well as I would like to based on how I thought of it when I wrote it? Yeah.
Is it different performing your own works as compared to a recitation, for example?
Yes. Yes, it is. It is, and it can be different for different reasons, yeah? Because there's different ways and reasons to write. So if you're writing something that's personal to you, it's going to be very different to a recitation because, you know, you're sharing of yourself and that kind of stuff. If it is that you're writing of something that is a message that you want to highlight or bring attention to, something that you want to call persons to take note of, or something that you're advocating for, I think it may be a little more like the recitation in the sense that it is a message that is separate from your own self-identity, self-worth, personal experiences, etc. So, yeah.
I'm wondering if your writing is anything like maybe my thought processes in terms of, you know, when I kind of get fixated on something, you know, everything, I'm full steam ahead with that. And then there may be something else. Or do you kind of jump, you know, in different places, or develop or explore different themes? Or are you into maybe talking about one thing? We heard Clarissa in the last segment talking about, you know, how passionate she was about gun violence because of what she was impacted by. So do you write generally, or are you very specific and targeted in what you write?
Both. And I'm glad that you re-mentioned what Clarissa, or stage name Carmen X, would have said in terms of the gun violence, because I actually had a piece that I was looking to perform before I even heard her say that. And then as she was saying that, I was like, whoa, this piece really ties in with what it is that she was saying there. So I'm going to do that shortly if allowed. But general, yes, in terms of if I am called to write on a particular topic, I can, to like be commissioned for one. If it is that there's a particular theme, like for this poetry, I wrote this piece specifically for the themes that I was given for this poetry. But also in terms of what you were saying with fixation, that happens too. You know, something may happen in terms of something strikes you, or it strikes a chord within you, and then you may just write and just express things, just flow. So
I know usually for me, I fan out a lot. When I say that, I mean there are people I see on stage and, you know, I'm full on fan mode in terms of what they do. Who do you look toward? You know, who are some of the names that you look up to when it comes to spoken word? And are some of those people on stage with you coming up tomorrow night? So you have to share how that feels too.
Okay, so I will answer this with different brackets and groups of persons. So they're like, not the old heads, but the older persons in the space who've been around, who really set that foundation and such, which would include persons, as Carmen mentioned, like Adrian Green and guys like DJ Simmons and Hiru and those guys that would have been around in that iron sharpens iron era and such. Then there are persons like Lashana, Stone with Cupid, who are still a little older than me, still been in this space for longer than me. Cindy Celeste, Carmen as well, I believe, to some extent, and you know, persons in that bracket. And then there are peers that I look to that I say, like, these guys are talented.
Yeah.
And put in the work as well, because I work with some of them and see the kind of process that they go through. So guys like Crow, you would have had him all before, Malachi Hope, Raquan Hines, Niggas Knox. Persons like Ludi Bajan, persons like Neil Waif. Yeah, you might not know him as a spoken word artist, you might know him for theater, you might know him for performative speech and stuff, you might know him for Laugh It Off, but Neil Waif is also an excellent orator in general. So those kind of persons.
Good stuff. What are we going to experience this morning? You're going to perform a piece for us, a little something, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, you know, what have you prepared for us today?
Yeah. So the title of the piece is Nothing Worse Than an Old Infant.
Nothing worse
than an old infant.
Than an old infant.
Yeah.
All right.
You know the phrase. Yeah. He was a good boy. Yeah. He was a good boy. But was he a good man? Or did he lose his way like Peter's boys in Neverland, forever swimming endlessly in vain against the sands of time's quicksand, forever swimming in one place? You say you raised him well, but you made sure he never felt discipline or never heard the jingle on the end of a belt coming from backside. So why would you expect to find the Tinker Nobel Prize worthy of his eyes being fixed upon? So as he's running around the block with boys lacking a calibrated moral compass, packing Glocks, ready for contact. What's that? The same reporter from the scene on your doorstep comes asking you, "Ma'am, how are you and your family handling the news of the allegations?" You pause. The floor creaks. You pause. And then you open your mouth to speak. He was a good boy. A good boy. A good boy. A good boy? So when the eyewitnesses that attested to witnessing the matter in question and testified told the tale of the night, the tail end of a 12 to 9 shift when them lost boys decided to tear our boy Abel, barely able to see in the dark with the dim street lights until he got to the reverse oasis, the center of light from a street lamp, providing warmth and a false sense of security in the middle of a cold dark parking lot. Ready to get in the car, standing there turning the key in lock, wrist hugged by his last birthday present. Finally, a presentable leather-strapped watch after years of G-Shock in his well-tailored suit. Imagine his shock when your good boy and his good fellows step from the shadows, encompassing him, circling him like sharks, their misguided moral magnetic north drawn to the rose gold face. That watch strap now suffocating Abel's wrist, biting in his skin like jaws. Premium leather, no crocodile skin. When your son stepped forward to cover the others as they split up between the car and Abel's person until it became his disabled person. See, he wanted to keep the watch for himself, for sentiment. One boy told him not for joke, another said watch yourself, a sign of a struggle, and pop! He dropped. When your son was holding a gun to another mother's pet, ask Petra. That's his mother's name. Was he a good boy then? Or was he just a bloodthirsty menace? When that shot tore through Abel's temple, cracking his skull and breaking his mother's heart at the same time, he was her only son. Now she's struggling to put the pieces back together, and she would never be able to mend the wounds even if she was to call the king and all his horses and all his horsemen. He was her only son. Now she's scrambling to find the funds to attend and organize a ritualistic farewell. Well, she's likely now to be relying on welfare because her son was the only one who was able to care for her and his sister. Only 3. Now the time has come for your unrepentant spawn to pay his penance. The seconds in the clicking clock, the crocodile teeth finally catch gears and turn to minutes. It was always chasing Captain Hook, but now the Hook chasing child had stabbed him, handcuffed, tied him, and held inside the steel profile skin, eating into his wrist. That crocodile imprisoned and dragged him to the bottom depth of the ocean, suffocating with his sins, sinking endlessly in Neverland seas. For whom did the clock tick? For that good boy, lost forever.
Ah, that was super, man. That was so good. Timon Howard, you can see him at a celebration of spoken word. It's coming off tomorrow, 8 o'clock at Cricket Legends. Just a taste of what you can expect. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah? We can't ask for anything better.
Yeah.
Hey, it's time for
more
break.
information, you can check out Poetry on Instagram at POETREE Barbados. Poetry Barbados on Instagram for more information. Follow, stay tuned every month. Blessings.
You might as well take us to break too. Tell them we're coming back.
We will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Soca Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Soca Avenue. All new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We had our Socoholic launch a few weeks ago, and Marsville was a part of the cast. Now he is out with a brand new video. It's called God Got Me. We wanted to share a bit of it with you.
Gentlemen, I bring you Marsville.
Say extraordinaire.
Or so he thinks. This is the year that we end him. The chief can be here any minute. Let me get ready.
The stone the builder refused shall be the head cornerstone. But I will lift up my eyes up to the hills, from whence cometh my help. Marsville. No one never asks how I doing, but I doing fine. When I needed someone to talk to, not a friend in sight. So much love I got for the music, but I deal with fight. But God got me.
I had a brand son, man. Got everything we try and working. We got to get rid of this one.
Them plotting my downfall with them big friends. Better bring your army, cause my God does defend. Don't even have to lay a finger on Judas and them. Just bring and chant the psalm. My God take care of them. Jehovah guide
one there from Marsville, bringing today's show to an end. Don't forget, TV8, we are going to be live at Kensington Oval later this evening. The Prime Minister has a town hall meeting, so from 5 o'clock right here on TV8. You can look up for that. It's going to be on PMO, GIS, and CBC on YouTube as well. Coming up tomorrow, we continue that conversation. 14 things we need to hone in on for learning success. We're going to talk some more about that. Plus, we're telling you about South, Rum, and Soca that's coming up this weekend. And we're going to share a whole lot more on the programs you can expect to see here for Crop Over 2024. That's all tomorrow. So have a great day today. Remember to stay tuned for that town hall meeting. If you can go on down, make it from 1:30. They're going to be guided tours at Kensington Oval, but we are live and on air from 5 o'clock. Have a great day today, and we'll see you, God willing, tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.